For the past 10 years, I've been running a sim racing championship. It's been popular with my social circle and built a great little community, but racing the same people every month is only so much of a challenge. So after the 2025 season wrapped up, a few of us wanted to see how we would stack up against people that would be considered somewhat good. So we entered a race. The Slipstream International Evolution Racing and Development, 3 hours at Nordschleife, 1 to 3 drivers, 31st of the 1st, 2026, 6 p.m. ADET at AMCT for Better Health Mental Black Dog Institute. And it went about as well as could be expected.
You're on the left, 3 wide, you're in the middle. Gap to P5, blue flag, car right side's clear.
None of us had really prepared in the traditional sense, but we were optimistic. Our aim was to finish the race and not be last. I'd done the most work on setup and strategy. Alex and Simon had never driven ACC at all, and definitely not the Nürburgring. Still, we figured a few hours before the race that would, do a little bit of practice and all would be fine. Simon jumped in first. He had the racing line on to try and make it easier for him to learn the track, and he was circulating at about a 9-minute lap time. Not fast, but he was consistent. Consistency was really our goal. Alex jumped in and he was immediately about 15 seconds faster, but struggled with braking. He kept forgetting to brake hard enough, though eventually he settled into a groove at around the 8-minute 45 mark. At this point, things felt like they were falling into place for a drama-free race. We got pizza, good pizza, and got ready for free practice. We jumped into the server and all did a couple of sighting laps to check the grip and tyre pressure. Alex posted our fastest lap of the session, and after it ended, we joined the stewarding meeting with morale high. Everyone had improved dramatically, and Simon got a lot more seat time. For qualifying, we had 2 goals. Start as high up as possible to avoid any pile-ups in the first corner, and qualify in an odd position, meaning we were on the outside of turn 1. So if there was an accident, we could just, avoid it. So I went out and did my first lap. It was an 8:30. Everyone had started building up times by then, so I had dropped down to 8th. After everyone had done their first laps, I had dropped down to about 15th or 20th or so. Then, crossing the line for my second time, I put the car in 11th place. The perfect position for us because it would leave us on the outside on a 29 strong field. We were absolutely ecstatic and couldn't wait to see how things unfolded. Spirits were high in the team. We even set up a system for pit crew communication where we used one of our phones in a Discord call to radio in strategic messages. Simon was quite excited, but quite visibly nervous as he sat waiting for the timer to count down. We checked the fuel tank was full and the tyre pressures were correct. Simon started the rolling start and...
On your right, 3 wide, you're on the left. 3 wide, you're in the middle.
You know that pile-up that we wanted to avoid? Well, apparently, we would cause it. Simon limped the car back to pit lane, which was closed, but we just teleported to pits, sim racing moment, and scrambled to figure out what we should do with our strategy as the car was repaired. We chose to stick to the plan. Simon left the pit lane in stone dead last. With the start accident weighing heavily on him, Simon struggled to get comfortable in the car again, making little errors on his first lap out of the pits. His mood was made worse. We were handed a 90-second penalty for our incident on lap 1. So now spirits were low, but we weren't frustrated. But then he came across a car that had spun on the racing line. We smacked straight into it, now missing a wheel. Simon wanted to teleport back to pits. At this point, I got a little bit frustrated. Told him to drive it out so we wouldn't lose another lap to everyone. The car got back to pits, Alex jumped in and took off out of the pits to considerably consistent times. Attrition was starting to take effect on the other teams. Alex was very slowly gaining places.
P23.
Some teams had seemingly already given up with 7 cars dropping from the race by lap 5.
P21.
But we weren't going to give up. Things were looking up again until one of the issues we discovered in practice reared its head. A few days before the race, I had installed my new SimJax pedal. My old Fanatec pedals were drifting under load, and I would hit the brakes and I had no brakes would happen. So I wanted something a bit more reliable. Simon and Alex really liked these pedals. Alex didn't. The brake force required was a lot higher than usual, and he was still adjusting to it. Around one of the fastest points of the track, Alex hit the brakes but didn't hit them hard enough, and crashed our Bentley into the wall hard enough to give us a black and orange flag, which means that we have to go to pits to get it fixed. If we hadn't hit rock bottom before, we had now. Alex fought the car back to the pits. We opted not to fuel or change tyres, and him to finish his fuel step. At this point, the race really felt unsalvageable. Our aim to not finish last? Well, that seemed like a dream. I personally stepped away to cool off. Little did I know, while I was away, Simon was crunching numbers and came up with a solid strategy. I had planned for Alex to do a stint of 7 laps, Simon to do his 2 laps that he had remaining, and me to finish off the race, so everyone got an even driving time. But he had worked out that if Alex stretched his stint to 8 laps, I would just be able to make it across the line with 19 laps completed. Alex had got the car up into 20th, and I was prepped to jump in the car. What followed was, I think, the hardest I'd ever pushed. Simon and Alex had mentally checked out and gone to watch Jaws with my sister and her friend, who went scuba diving the next day, which is insane. They came back and somehow I had gained 6 places. It snapped everyone back in. Simon jumped on our makeshift comms and said I was doing great, and began making sure I could make it to the end with my higher than average fuel usage. I was told it would be close and I might need to pit in, but I might just make it to the end. I was driving for my absolute life. 13th had let me past and I was closing in on 12th, but they were keeping a buffer of 5 seconds that I just couldn't close. The rest of my team was leaning in, bouncing their legs as I went onto the final lap. Then, the last straight. We were about to concede 13th place, when, to our surprise, 12th crashed on the last corner. We all let out a huge cheer as we crossed the line in 12th place. Only 1 place lower than we had qualified and 17 places higher than we had ended on the first lap. Our first race together wasn't a success story, but it was definitely a team building story. Thanks to some fast decisions on strategy, we went from what could have been a disaster to the beginning of boatly racing by our Drabakana design. Do I blame the other drivers for their mistakes? Not at all. It was Simon's sacrificial strategy call and Alex's consistency that got us a finish we were all proud of. Could we have finished better? For sure. But ifs, buts and maybes don't belong in motorsport. We proved to ourselves, with a little practice and some better strategy, we could downright be competitive. I just want to thank Slipstream International for hosting this amazing event and raising $500 for Black Dog Institute, which will be linked down below. Also, thank you to our competitors for not getting too mad at us for causing the T1 incident, and thank you to my amazing teammates for humouring me with this idea and sticking with it. I feel we have formed a cohesive endurance team, and I can't wait to race with you guys again in Bathurst next week.
One more lap to go.
Con phải nhanh hơn đẹp mày. Hold on. Big double yellows anytime. full head, you might still have him. You caught him by like 2 seconds.
Good luck, people.